Hey there, Chris Dritt. Today we're going to walk through email verifications. This is super slick. This totally eliminates accounts with fake email addresses. So we're going to require the visitor to enter in their email address first before they sign up for an account. When they enter their email address, we're going to send them an email with a confirmation link in it. And they have to click that link. They'll come back to our site, and now we'll know that that's a confirmed and real email address. No more fake emails. At that point, we'll let them sign up, and they have to use the email address that they just confirmed with. Let's check it out. I've already published the site. Come on over to it. Go ahead and enter our email address, click sign up, and we've now sent an email. So let's go and check it out. We sent the email to chris@NoCodeQuest.com, to chris@NoCodeQuest.com, and here's the confirmation link. So let's click it and see what happens next. Boom, we're back at the site. This is another static page on our Webflow site, and we have a button, confirm your account. The account is confirmed. Now look at this. We have a sign-up form, and this is actually a MemberStack sign-up form. Well, it's our sign-up form, but we've hooked into MemberStack with it. You can see that this form field for the email address is disabled, so they can't change the email address, and they're just prompted for a password now. Go ahead and sign up. Boom, look at that. Member dashboard, we're logged in. If we go into MemberStack, you can see we have our account. It's all set up. We're good to go. This worked great. All right, here's our backend. It's Integromat. We trigger the backend based on a form submission. So we have just a webhooks module, give us a URL. Copy that to the clipboard. We come back into Webflow. We go to our form and we just paste it right in here. So on form submission, that will trigger our Integromat scenario. Let's go ahead and click the Run Once button. We're going to watch a new request go through Integromat. Okay, here we are back at the live site. Add your email, click the sign up button. It's getting submitted in the background. And you can see, there we go. We received the form submit with the email in it. We hit a router to know which path we are on right now. Right now we're on the sign up email form. This path will be the confirm email form. We figure that out by setting up a filter. We look for the email, make sure it exists from the form submit. That's how we know we're going down this path. Another thing we're using here is a lookup table, and we're using Integromat's internal data store instead of going out to another third-party service. So if we go over to the data store, you can see I already have it set up, but you can edit this item and you can see all the fields I've set up. I set up an email field, it's of type text and it's required. I've got an item ID, this is going to be our CMS item ID. It's not required, it's just a text field again. And our last one is a created at date timestamp, and it's of type date. So let's just save that for now. We're going to do data storage size of 1 megabyte in here. That'll give us about 10,000 rows approximately. Should be more than enough for us. We went ahead and we made an entry. We added the email that was submitted, and we also added a now timestamp. This is a function. The now is a function inside of Integromat. If we click the date and time, you can see here it is now. This is what you want to add. It's just going to add the current date and time stamp. Really convenient. So now we have an entry in our lookup table. We can go back to that lookup table and check it out. Here it is. We've got the email. We've got the created at date time stamp. And we've also got this important piece here, which is an auto-generated key. Now this is going to be a unique key, and Integromat is creating that for us. So now that Integromat has created this unique key, we're going to use it in just a moment. Let's go back into Integromat, and this we also are going to send an email confirmation, and we use Campaign Monitor for that. I have another video screencast that walks through exactly how to set up Campaign Monitor, and it walks you through step-by-step how to set up an HTTP module with basic auth to send the email. So opening that up, let's widen it out a little bit here. We can see that You're going to have to connect to Campaign Monitor. Again, I have another screencast that walks you through how to do that. We're going to add the API URL to Campaign Monitor. You're going to have to find your client ID within their account. Again, the other screencast shows you how to do it, and you'll enter it here, whatever that may be. We'll do a method of post, scroll down, body type raw, content type JSON, and we'll see here that we have the actual email that we're going to send. You can see it's the confirm your account, subject, it comes from chris@NoCodeQuest.com, reply to address, and here is the email address that was submitted in the form. So that's who we're going to send it to. And here is the actual body of the email. And you'll see here that what we've embedded into it is a confirmation link. And at the end of that, we've added a token. This is going to be our confirmation token. And we've added the key from the lookup table. Again, that's going to be our unique ID that we then will use to look up this record and confirm that this is the same person going through the process after they clicked the email. The next thing we do is set up a webhook response module, 200 status back to the web browser. We're going to send this information in the body. It's going to be a little bit of JSON with the email address that they sent to us. We also have to add a custom header. This just tells the web browser that what we're returning to it is JSON, so it knows and understands that. And that's it, done. Once we've sent that response back, this is what gets displayed, that custom. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is that we have a bit of custom code here. When you click this sign up button, we're not submitting the whole page out to Integromat. Instead, we're going to submit it through Ajax, which does it in the background. So if we look in the home settings, scroll down to the bottom, you can see I've got some custom code already here. This is just going to be something that you're going to copy and paste. If you come over to my GitHub account, NoCodeQuest, verify email on account sign up, find the homepage JS, there it all is. Pretty simple. Hit the raw button, select all, copy, come on back in here, paste it, done. Now this custom code is going to bind to elements on our page so that it knows when and how to run. That again is pretty simple. I've got some nice docs here that I created with screenshots. If you scroll down to the bottom and click the homepage link, you can see I've shown you the 3 IDs on the homepage that are getting bound to the snippets of code in that custom JavaScript. If you simply just add the IDs to each element as shown in these screenshots, you don't have to make any adjustment to the code. You just copy and paste it, it'll work. If you do want to change those IDs for whatever reason, you can see the snippet of code here. I've also linked to it so you can see exactly where you need to change it. It's all pretty simple. Let's go back, and now that custom code will run and it will submit this form in the background. Okay, so the visitor entered their email address, submitted the form, we sent them an email, they clicked on the link inside the email, and this is where they land, on the confirmation page. You'll notice up in the URL we have a confirmation token. This confirmation token is what we generated in this step. We create a lookup table, and that lookup table has a unique key that we're using as our confirmation token. If you look at this, 29681, 29681. So that's the same token that we have in our lookup table. We take that token, we added it to the end of a link inside of an email. They click the link, and they land here at the confirm page. Now, there's a bit of custom code that will take the confirmation token out of the URL and put it as a hidden field inside of this form. Don't worry, you don't have to code anything. This is just a simple copy and paste like the rest of my code. It's up on GitHub. All right, let's check out the confirm page. We'll see how we set it up and we'll add some custom code to it. It's a pretty simple page. We just have a form on it, and you can see we have an action URL. Again, this is just the same URL we used before from our custom webhook, this guy right here. And now let's check out the custom code. We go into the confirm settings. You can see I already have the custom code in here. Let's go check it out really quick. Come back to the GitHub account, confirm page.js. Here's all of that custom code. Click the raw button, select all, copy, come on back into here, paste it. We have a few IDs to the elements on the page that we need to bind to this custom code. They're listed at the top. This is the form name, error message, success message. It's just all the same stuff that we did on the home page we need to do here. If you have any questions about it, come on back to the GitHub page, go to the confirm page link down at the bottom. And I've got some nice screenshots that walk you through it, point you to the exact spot. So you've set up your confirm page, you've added your custom code. Let's take a step back for a moment and walk through how your visitor got to this page. So a visitor lands on your site and they're presented with an email form. They add their email address, submit the form, and Integromat is triggered on that form submission. We follow this route up to creating a lookup table. When we create this lookup table, a unique ID is generated for us. And we're going to use that unique ID as a confirmation token. So we take that confirmation token, we append it to a URL that's included in an email, and we send an email to the address that was submitted in the form. So if this was a valid email address, that visitor will now receive an email with a link in it. They'll click it. They'll land on this page, your new confirm page. And the URL will be the confirmation token. And the custom code that you copy and pasted into this page will grab that confirmation token and add it to a hidden form field. So now your visitor will submit the form. Integromat will get triggered. We'll follow this route now. We'll take the confirmation token submitted in the form and we'll try to find it in the lookup table. If we find it, we've literally confirmed that account. Now, something I haven't talked about with these confirmation tokens yet, and I'll walk through it later in this screencast, is that we're going to expire those confirmation tokens. They're only going to last for 15 minutes, meaning when your visitor enters their email and they get to this point of creating the lookup table and creating the confirmation token, the clock starts and they have 15 minutes to receive the email, click the link, trigger this form, and get back to this lookup. If they don't do that within 15 minutes, we're literally going to delete the confirmation token and they have to start all over again. There's no token to confirm with. What we also have to do within this 15-minute window is somehow display a MemberStack sign-up form. If they don't get through this process within 15 minutes, not only do we delete the confirmation token, but we remove access to a MemberStack sign-up form. And we're going to provide that MemberStack sign-up form by creating a CMS collection. If you remember, CMS collections, whenever you create them, they also create an auto-generated CMS collection page. And you'll remember that a CMS collection page is only accessible if you know the slug. If you don't know the slug, you can't access that page because the slug will reference this actual item. So we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to create a new item and we're going to add a really long ID to it. And this ID is going to be unguessable. We're going to use an ID called Universally Unique Identifier, or UUID for short. And they're guaranteed to be unique. And because of that uniqueness, they have to be these really long IDs that are totally unguessable. So you have an unguessable unique ID as the slug in your CMS item. After we create that CMS item, we're gonna redirect the visitor to this CMS template page with that slug containing a UUID, and on that CMS collection page, will be our MemberStack signup form. Now remember, we have 15 minutes before the confirmation token is going to be deleted, and also before this newly created item in the CMS will be deleted. Once that 15 minutes is up and those two pieces have been deleted, this user can't confirm their account and they can't access the MemberStack signup form. So we have a 15-minute window of opportunity for somebody to use a MemberStack signup form, and it's going to be hidden behind this UUID slug that is unguessable. Pretty cool, huh? Let's go set up our CMS collection, add a MemberStack signup form, and keep going with the process. Let's set up the CMS collection. Come on over into the editor. We can see that I already have it set up. It's really a simple CMS collection, just called it confirmed. The URL is confirmed. And this was originally the name field, the default field that is created with every new collection. I've just renamed it to email, left it a plain text. We have the slug. That's it. Pretty simple. Save the collection. We're good to go. One thing we need to do, though, is come into our confirm page and go into the form. We have this redirect URL here. This URL is grabbed by our custom code, and we append that really long UUID slug to the end of this URL and redirect the browser to it when they successfully click the confirm account button. So to get that, we go back into our CMS collection. We see this URL down here, and we want to grab this part of it, just the CMS collection path, confirmed. We don't need confirmed page. After that, we're going to append the slug to it in Integromat. So let's go ahead, go back, come in here. We need to make sure we prepend this with HTTPS, paste that in. And it's really important, make sure you have this trailering front slash, because after that, we're going to stick this really long UID. So it has to have that trailering front slash. So put that in there, hit the publish button, and we're good to go. All right, now let's give this a test drive. Just make sure everything's working. We've published our site with the new CMS collection. We are on the confirm your account page, ready to go. Let's go back to Integromat, tap the run once button. And this time we should follow the confirm your email path. We'll capture the form submission, hit the router, come down to the lookup table. It'll succeed. We should create a new Webflow item. We're going to update the data store. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And we'll redirect to our new signup form. So let's see that work. Here we go. Boom, look at that. We are on the confirmed page. Here is the UUID. This is that really long slug that's going to be unguessable within 15 minutes. So we've landed on a CMS template page, and we have the sign-up form. I'll walk through how to set that up in just a moment. But that all worked. We're good to go. We can see it all flowing through in Integromat just fine. We passed in our confirmation token when we clicked that confirm button. We did a lookup. We found that the confirmation token existed and pulled out the email address and the created at date. We looked on a filter here to make sure that these did exist in the lookup table. We looked for an email existing and a created at existing. And these are fields within that lookup table. So if it didn't find them, it won't progress forward. We created a Webflow item. You can see that worked. We'll flip over to the CMS editor here. We have our new record with the slug. Looks good. We updated the data store. So what we need to do here is make sure we save the CMS item ID into the data store. When we expire the token, we're not only going to delete it from the lookup table in the data store, we're going to delete it from Webflow. And in order to delete it from Webflow, we have to know the item ID that was just created. Here's the item ID, ends in 7167. Go back over to our lookup table, hit refresh, 7167. So it successfully added it to the data store. Then we send a redirect back to the web browser, 302. You see we put in the slug here. This is the UUID slug that we created. Come back here. You can see that the slug that I added here was a UUID. We come over to text and binary functions. There's the variable. Just tap that, put it in there. It auto-generates it for us. We go back to the redirect, and that's what I send back to the web browser so it knows where to redirect to. We also have to add some headers in here, content type application JSON, just so it knows. And the custom code on that confirm page will take this slug. It will append it to the value that we added in the redirect URL. And then the custom code will redirect it for us. And when we get redirected, we land in our template page. So that all worked great. Let's set up the MemberStack form and sign up as a new member. Go back to the Webflow Designer. Now remember, we set up a CMS collection called Confirmed, which auto creates for us a CMS collection page called Confirmed Template. And on here, this is where we want the MemberStack sign-up form. One of the things you'll notice here is that we've disabled the email field so that somebody can't change their email address once they've confirmed it. And again, that's going to be a little bit of custom code, not much, but as usual, we'll just copy and paste it. Let's go check it out first. You scroll down, you can see it's a very small snippet this time. Let's go back up into the GitHub account, look for confirmed page.js. We can copy and paste this code, and you'll notice we have this email variable in here. We want to use an add field, select the email field from our CMS collection, and that's what we want to replace with that variable I was just showing you, this guy right here. So go ahead and hit save on this. We also want to make sure that we set the email field here with an email ID. You can see that we're looking for that in here. And again, just as always, if you have any questions about how to set this up exactly, which elements are binding to which parts of the custom code, you can see I've got it all screenshotted here and described, along with the snippet of code linked. So it's really easy just to figure out from my handy little help docs down here on the GitHub account. Now we need to bind this to MemberStack. This is pretty generic setup. If we go down to membership, added a basic free plan. I've gone in and added some hidden content to a dashboard, redirect on a 404 if it's an access denied. It's all really simple stuff. We can go back to Webflow. You can see I just have a simple dashboard, static page. We'll get to that in just a minute. If you come in here, you can see I've done the normal MemberStack stuff, which is created some custom attributes that bind each field. Data MS member equals email. Data MS member equals password. Our form has the data MS membership and the membership ID. And we designate it as a sign-up form. All simple stuff. Let's take a quick look at our dashboard page here, which again, another static page in Webflow. There's nothing much here. It's just a text block. I bind a custom attribute to it so it'll display the email address and a logout link. It's a MemberStack logout link with their. Let's go back to the live site and let's sign up. Enter in your password. Tap sign up. There we are, boom. MemberStack dashboard. You can see we're logged into MemberStack. You can see the test mode pop up down here. We can go back into the MemberStack members account, refresh the screen. Boom, there's our user. This worked great. Now we still have, if we refresh this page, we still have the record in the Webflow CMS collection. This is a confirmed email with a slug, and we don't want that here any longer. We want to delete that so that nobody else can use this slug to reconfirm an account. We also, in our lookup table, if I hit refresh, still have this entry with the confirmation token, the key. We want to get rid of that as well. So next up, we're going to talk about how this gets expired within 15 minutes. 15 minutes is configurable. You can set it to whatever you like, but we'll walk through that next. Okay, here's our second Integromat scenario. This is the scenario that will run every 15 minutes and check to see if we have any confirmation tokens that need to be deleted. When we set up this new scenario, we're going to set it up on a schedule. You can click the schedule settings button down here, and we'll set it for every 15 minutes. Now, of course, you can set this for any amount of minutes that you want. 15 is pretty standard and common out there in the industry, so that's why I picked it, but change it to whatever you like. First thing you want to add is a data store search records module. We're going to select our data store email confirmable, and we're going to filter on the created at timestamp. So if we go back and look at it, you remember we created this with that now function, and that comes into existence when we create it here on step 1 of the sign up email form. We're going to look at that created at field, and we're going to put this calculation in it to determine if 15 minutes have passed or not. So what this is a function, add minutes, and that's found in the date time functions. You can see it here, add minutes. And what we want to do is we want to put in the now date timestamp. So we're running it and we're checking at the current date and time that it's running. We're subtracting 15 minutes from it, and we want to look at those results. Remember, 15 minutes is what we set here in the schedule settings, and those two numbers need to match. If you change this to 5 minutes or 30 minutes, you have to make sure that you subtract the same amount of minutes here in the calculation. So let's walk through and describe this calculation in a little bit more detail. We can go over to the GitHub account, come down to timeout.csv, and take a look at it here, and this illustrates what we're trying to do. We have a created at date timestamp. Remember, that's created up here. Created at date timestamp of now. We want to look at the now date timestamp we're looking at right here. That's this entry. We want to subtract 15 minutes from it. That's what we're doing right here, minus 15 in the add minutes method. And this is then the calculation we're looking at, created at less than or equal to the adjusted time. You can see we've selected earlier than or equal to. So let's run through that, and this is all made up numbers. If the created at time is 9 p.m., the date timestamp that we run this at is 9:01 p.m. We subtract 15 minutes from it. It's now 8:46 p.m. And here's our calculation. We want to see if the created at time 9 p.m. is less than or equal to the adjusted time, 8:46 p.m. The answer to that is no. So when we run this search every 15 minutes and look at that record, it will not match this filter, and therefore we will not get it as a result from this search records module. But if we do another scenario down here, we created it at 9 p.m., it's now 9:16 p.m., you'll see 15 minutes has passed. We subtract 15 minutes from the now, which is going to be 9:01 p.m., and we do our calculation. Is 9 p.m. less than or equal to 9:01 p.m.? The answer is yes. So coming back into here, this will produce a result. With that one record now, we want to add an iterator module. If you go down to Tools, click Iterators, and the iterator module is just a fancy word for looping through the results. And we want to loop through each record that the search on the data store produced. If it didn't produce any records, there's nothing to iterate over and nothing will run after the iterator. But if it does, it'll loop through each one, and the first thing we will do is delete the record from the data store. So you can see we're just pulling the key out of the data store. Now, sometimes we have a scenario whereby the data store will not have an item ID. If we go back to our original scenario, you can see that somebody comes through, they've entered this path, which is the sign up email form path. We've created a lookup table, But at this point, we haven't created a Webflow CMS item, so we have no item ID. They've gone through, they've received an email, we've sent a response back to the browser, but for whatever the reason, within 15 minutes, this visitor never clicked the confirmation link and came down this path. And if they don't come down this path, we never create an item in Webflow, and we never update the lookup table to include that item ID. Back to our scenario here, if this item ID doesn't exist, let's not run this module because it'll just error out on us and there's no reason to run it. But if it does exist, it'll continue through to it. You'll see we'll pull the item ID out for this collection ID and delete it. Now, for whatever reason in Integromat, you have to go back to your Webflow CMS editor, open up this collection. In the settings, you'll see the collection ID, just copy and paste it, put it in here. Pretty easy. And that's it. So right now we have one item in our lookup table. It's been 15 minutes since this has been created. So if we just manually run this, run once, we should see it deleted. Let's check it out. Boom, and there we go. We looked in the data store, we found one record. That's the record that was sitting in there. We went into the iterator looped over that one record. We went into the data store, that record was found and deleted by its key. We went into our filter condition to see if that record had an item ID. In this case it did. And we went into Webflow and we deleted it. You can see that deleted equals 1 there. So let's go check this out. If we come on back into our lookup table, we reload the page, it's gone. If we go back into Webflow, we can see that we have one item there, but let's refresh the page. If we come back into the CMS editor, you see there are no items. If there are no items, that means we have also deleted the MemberStack signup form from our collection page template. If there's no slug attached to an item, there is no collection page to go to. Therefore, we don't have a MemberStack signup page any longer. So the last thing to do is turn on our scenario, and now this will run every 15 minutes, checking for expired tokens, deleting them, and also deleting the MemberStack signup form from Webflow. Pretty awesome.